Shout out Scott. I think he may be here next week. I don't want to promise that. He sent me his weekly paragraph about how he can't join the show. So I said I wouldn't if I was you either after last weekend. But I I love Scott, and I'm sure that he was going through it this past Sunday, watching the boys get 44 put on their head at home. So
He was down bad.
yeah,
I never saw such a deflated text from Scott before. It's normally he's such a happy guy. The Bears will get blown out and throw for like 86 yards, and he'll be like, "Ah, Sam, it's good, man. It's they're a good football team, and they've got a lot of pieces." And he was just like dead. I was worried about him, honestly.
Again, because he stays up late to watch these damn games. He goes to bed at like 1, 2 in the morning after seeing Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara go up and down on his team like it's
yeah.
Pop Warner. I mean, poor kid.
Hello and welcome to the Boys Upstairs Show. This is the Week 3 NFL show.
Woo!
We have, some possible teams that could be good this year, some possible teams that are 0-2, like Nickson's Ravens, that are looking pretty bad right now. So we are going to start it off with the Eagles and the Saints. I'll just say this before we even get into the game. I don't think any expert, any analyst, any fan saw the Saints being this good this quickly. Will they be able to sustain it? That'll be something that we'll see this week against the Eagles. The Saints have scored 91 points through 2 weeks of football. Their offense is absolutely on fire. They are 2.5-point favorites against the Eagles. Totals 49.5. We will give it to Coby.
The Saints obviously have played really good football so far, and I can't take that away from them. But, we've seen this with players, with teams, with anyone. You can have a couple of good weeks, especially early on in the season, and it can come back to mean nothing. Not taking away from what the Saints have done so far, but it's been almost too good. You got to do it for a little while. So this is the game where if they win this week, I will give them their flowers. So I'm going to take the Eagles. On paper, the Eagles are a way better team. I also feel like, the Saints have been really good the first 2 weeks. The Eagles have been just okay. I feel like that's a setup for people to bet on the Saints. And then bam, all of a sudden, a week later, you're like, why the heck did I bet on Derek Carr and the fucking Saints? I just feel like the play is not sustainable. I am going to take the over, though. The Eagles' defense, no matter how many all-pros, can just never play as a unit. Their defense is just Swiss cheese all year. It doesn't matter. You could sign all the all-pros in the world. I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to take the Eagles. But if the Saints beat the Eagles this week, they will have earned my respect. And if we pick another Saints game, I will give them their respect.
The Cowboys, or not the Cowboys, the Eagles did not play great the other night against Atlanta. Everyone knows that. Their defense, like Coby said, didn't look good. They don't really play as a unit. There's a lot of holes everywhere. They make some great plays, and then at the same time they make equally stupid plays. So there seems to be a lack of cohesion there. Offensively, I thought Jalen Hurts has looked actually really good in the first 2 games of the season, despite that last drive or whatever and his interception. But that was just kind of not garbage time, but kind of Hail Mary. You just got to get the ball downfield. But I do think Jalen Hurts has looked really good, and I've been a big critic of his in the past. So I'll give him his flowers where they're due and give him his credit because he has been good. And that Eagles offense is very powerful. Their offensive line is ridiculous. There's always pass protection. Saquon's an animal. Everyone knows that. It really comes down to, I think the Saints are going to put up a fight offensively. I don't think it's totally a fluke what they're doing and scoring 90 whatever points in the first 2 weeks. And the Eagles with that high-powered offense. So I am going to take 49.5 here over. I think it'll be a higher scoring game. But I do think the Eagles are going to come and prevail out of this one. I think the Eagles they're a good football team. I don't really like them. I don't think anybody really likes them unless you're from Philly or a diehard Eagles fan. We already talked about the Kelsey Slurp Fest or whatever on Monday night. But I think the Eagles can pull away this one in a higher scoring tilt.
Good word.
I'll take the over for sure. And then I don't know how I feel about the Saints just yet because they're playing really, really good, but they also are the Saints. So I'm just going to be safe here and take the Eagles. Tommy, who's home?
Saints.
I'm still taking the Eagles, yeah.
The Eagles gave away this win on Monday night against Atlanta. I honestly, somebody said the Eagles didn't play that well. I didn't think that they played insanely well, but Saquon was literally getting everything he wanted all game, had like 120 yards. It really just came down to that last drive. Give them shit all you want for them throwing the ball on third down and risking an incompletion and stop the clock. I get all of that, but they may have been thinking, 2 steps ahead in terms of like they probably are expecting us to run the ball here. So we're running the ball well all game. Saquon was wide open. If he catches that ball, which he can catch that ball 99 times out of 100, game's over. So I put all the blame on Saquon on that play, not as much on the coaching. But at the same time, Saquon is still that guy, and now he's going to be even hungrier because he cost them a win. So I'm going to take the Eagles plus 2.5 here. I am not a Saints believer just yet. You could say that they had their like prove it game against the Cowboys last weekend because the Cowboys are supposed to be a good team. But I do think that to do it 2 weeks in a row would be pretty impressive, and I don't buy it just yet. I think they're kind of due for a comeback game. I feel like this could be slightly under 49.5. That's damn near 50, and I don't love that. So I'm just going to take the Eagles here.
For those of you that have been following the show throughout the years, you guys know I'm a big Derek Carr fan for some reason. Supported him through his highs and lows, mainly lows, but he's on the up now. Ride with him still. So I think this will be a big test for him, but I will take the Saints, and I'll also take the over.
This might be shocking to you guys because I've been an objective Eagles critic over the years, but I think that the Saints are at their absolute apex, and no one expected them to be this hot coming right out of the gate the first 2 weeks into the year. Eagles are on a short week too, off a bad coaching decision, and they lost a game they really should have won. I'm going to take the Eagles here. I think that they're going to go into New Orleans. They're going to play well. I don't trust their defense, but I trust their defensive line. I expect them to put pressure on Derek Carr. He's been the best quarterback in the league, but he hasn't had to throw the ball. He's only throwing the ball about 20 times a game. And I think that the Eagles will apply pressure. I think Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley will get back on track. I expect them to rebound. It's early in the season. I don't expect them to be, in bad spirits, kind of like how they were at the end of last year when they essentially quit in the playoff game against Tampa if they go down early. I think the Eagles are going to go into New Orleans and get a big-time win, and I like the Eagles to cover.
There's some seasons, there's some teams in sports where they just do some unbelievable shit, like the Miami Heat when we were just making threes. That's just a peaking trend, just something you don't see. So I think the Saints are just peaking right now. They're doing something that you don't see. And I think that the Eagles, as of right now, I think they're at like a low point of performance, I guess. A.J. Brown being out and Devontae Smith having to be the number one is tough. It's just watching Devontae Smith get tackled, seeing his body just fly 3 yards every time he get touched, it's tough. I don't think the offense is in sync with Devontae Smith having to be the WR1. It'll be interesting to see them play like a decent team and see what they can do. But I think the Saints defense are going to lock them up and just score more points, I guess. So Saints spread, Saints money line, Saints all that.
Game 2 on the slate here. Very, very highly motivated teams coming into this game. The Ravens and the Cowboys. Ravens are 0-2 through 2 weeks of football. Last place in the division, tied with the Bengals, also 0-2. A team that nobody expected to be at the bottom of the division through 2 weeks of football. They are -1.5 going into Dallas, who just came off a absolute blowout loss to the Saints, like we just talked about. Total's 48.5. We have to give it to our resident Ravens fan, Nickson, here, who has warned us that this could be a lengthy monologue. So strap in.
Viewers, gentlemen of the panel, it's been a rough 2 weeks here in the household. I can't believe what I'm watching. Here, I'm going to give you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly of the situation. The good, we are one of the most explosive offenses in the league. Our quarterback is top 5 in passing yards. We still lead the league. We're top 5 in rushes, and we lead the league in total yardage offensively. Oh, also, we're the number 1 rush defense in the league. The bad, offensive line play has been awful, especially on right guard and right tackle. We've been rotating a rookie and a third year guy named Rotenberg, and they've been rotating at right guard and right tackle. They look awful. The right side of the line, Lamar is getting constantly pressured. Max Crosby ruined the game on Sunday from the right side, and it was very, very, very apparent that something needs to change on the offensive line. Our secondary got absolutely torched by Devontae Adams. I'm talking about Max Crosby and Devontae Adams. These are two of the best players at their position currently, and stuff like that happens. But being as talented as we are, there's no excuse to lose to a Raiders team led by Gardner Minshew when you're running out Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Justin Matabike, Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton. Like, these are all pro guys. I'm going to get to the ugly now. As much as I said about the team and the roster and how certain guys need to be playing better, to me, it has become apparent that John Harbaugh's seat needs to start getting warm. Because I'm getting sick and tired of the shit. We have been blowing leads for the past 5 years, as long as I could remember. It has come to a point where I'm going to start blaming not just the players, but how they are being coached in certain situations and certain coaches' decisions in certain situations. Tomlin was right, by the way, Tommy. Tomlin was right about Harbaugh. He said 2 years ago or last year, I knew exactly what they're going to do because they always do the same thing in that situation. And that was that game last year when you guys beat us at home when George Pickens ran the streak down the sideline. Cover zero, and you blitz everybody. They do that shit every time on critical downs in the fourth quarter. Everybody knows it at this point. Why are we constantly doing the same shit? And offensively, we get timid, and instead of playing to stay aggressive, we start calling plays to not lose. We start calling screen passes and runs down the middle that make absolutely no sense. I apologize for taking everybody's time. We need to win, ultimately. Like, it's now or never. If they lose to the Cowboys, it's like we're fucked. It's hard to come out of an 0-3 hole to start a season. And from what I've heard, CD did not practice today because of an injury. And Michael Parsons on his podcast said something that, to me, if I was a Cowboys fan, would be very alarming. He said that Mike McCarthy told him that he might spy Lamar Jackson the whole game. Now, if that's the game plan that they're running with, if they're not going to have one of the best pass rushers in the NFL not rushing the passer, I'll take that. I'm taking the Ravens. What are they, -1.5? -1.5. And yeah, that's it. That's it for me, man. I've taken enough time.
Nickson, I will follow. I'm not a Ravens fan. I'm a Lamar Jackson fan, and I picked them to be in the Super Bowl. So I'm with you on a lot of what you said. I think you began your monologue with the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, to be honest with you, is the Bengals are also 0-2. The Browns are 1-1, but their quarterback, that whole thing is just a bad situation. I don't know if we can trust Deshaun Watson to play good anymore. As the season goes on, I think we're going to see maybe, Jameis might give us a better chance to win. So I think that the Browns are going to end up being an 8-9 or 9-8 team. And Tommy, Sean, you know how much love and respect I have for you both. And
Come on, say it.
No. It's incredibly impressive. I just don't think that it is sustainable for the Steelers to continue to win games like it's 1950. I just don't. They're throwing I think that they're throwing for 120 yards a week. So, and the point is, the Ravens have 2 games still against all their opponents in their division. So they can still win the division and get a home playoff game. The bad news is it's Cowboys, Bills, Bengals. If the stuff that we just talked about doesn't get fixed, hey, Nickson, dude, this could be 0-5. We think 0-2 is bad. It could be 0-5.
Ugly, fast.
And Lamar Jackson he's thrown for over 500 yards. He's run for over 150, I think, which is incredible. And they're 0-2. That's unacceptable. He's not played great, but he hasn't played poorly by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of this, I think, is on Harbaugh, because in the Chiefs game, there were a ton of penalties, and in the Raiders game, they just can't close the game. That, to me, is on coaching. The team's undisciplined. They get ahead, and they think they have the game won. Remember how Brian Kelly in their first game against USC pounded the table? We keep letting an opponent get back in the game. It was kind of a joke, but that's how the Ravens are. It's like, dude, you're up 10 in the fourth quarter at home against Gardner Minshew. There's no reason on any planet whatsoever you should lose the game. And regardless how good Max Crosby and Devontae Adams are, because they are great players, and you got to give them credit, because those two stole the game. Shifting to the Cowboys. Offensively, do they have a great player outside of CeeDee Lamb? I don't think so. If you neutralize him, and I just found out that he didn't practice today, or he hasn't really been practicing for this week. They just really need to focus their defensive coverage surrounding number 88. Offensively, they need to. It's too predictable offensively. It seems like whenever Derrick Henry's in the game, they run the
He's
ball.
running the ball, yeah.
Whenever Justice Hill is in the game, now they're throwing it. It's just really predictable at this point. So I am with Nickson. I'm concerned. They were my Super Bowl pick, but I'm going to pick the Ravens to go into Dallas, win the game, and cover the spread. This is as close to a must-win in week 3 of an NFL season as you're going to get, and I think they're going to be very hungry to get a win, and I like the Ravens. And again, sorry for taking a lot of time, but me and Nickson are together. This is the team.
Yeah.
Also, my Super Bowl prediction, by the way, is Ravens-Bears. Sam, you're happy we're not talking about your team this week because I have a lot to say about them too. But I digress.
I like what both of you said, especially you, Nickson, in that I live in Maryland. I've grown up in Maryland for most of my childhood, my life. I've been here. So I'm around the Ravens a lot. A lot of my friends are Ravens fans. I see the Ravens. The games are always on here. They're always on at the bars, restaurants, everything. It's Ravens everywhere, Ravens Commanders. One thing, especially in the last couple of years, pretty much ever since they've got Lamar, what's made the Ravens so good is not necessarily personnel or the big free agent signings or just building super teams all the time. It's and not even just like their perfect execution game planning. It's their deception and their unpredictability and their ability to be unorthodox and win games in crazy ways and do things in crazy ways. And they're kind of losing that, as we've seen these past couple weeks. These QB designed runs, these quirky run game formations and all of that, and these weird pass plays that take 5 minutes to develop aren't working like they used to. And you're not seeing the normal Ravens magic that you're used to seeing in these past couple of years. You got Derrick Henry out there. Yeah, he's Derrick Henry. He's unreal. The dude's a mammoth. But at the same time, you put him out in the field, and it's like, this is the NFL. Guys are athletic. Guys are coached really well. Coordinators are working 80 hours a week trying to figure out how to stop guys like him. So it's not going to work. This isn't college. It's not a Disney movie where you can just run through and just barrel through like it's Madden or something. So I'm going to go with the Ravens here. The total, they always do a good job. Ravens games especially. You never know how they're going to go. Sometimes the Ravens will match you up and score with you for the entire game, and sometimes they'll just play small ball like the Steelers and just play defense all game. So I'm not going to touch the total, but I think this is a must-win for the Ravens. Not so much for the Cowboys, really. But yeah, and I'm willing to put my money the Ravens go into Dallas and win a game here.
As has been mentioned, very thoughtfully and intentionally by Ravens fan Nickson and Lamar sucker Jake. This is a must-win game simply because of the fact that they have got probably the toughest schedule in the NFL coming up. So I feel like this game, especially against a team that's coming off a blowout loss at home, which, by the way, the last 2 home games for the Cowboys have been blowout losses if you count the Packers playoff game last year. So I feel like they also have that element of like they can't get embarrassed at home again, but the Ravens need to win this game. Cowboys are definitely going to be hungry coming into this one. I will say that the Ravens, I wouldn't be hitting the panic button just yet because week 1 against Kansas City, like that was, they're the Chiefs. They're the best team in the league. But I will say that blowing it at home opener against the Raiders, that is definitely an embarrassing loss, uncharacteristic loss for the Baltimore Ravens. However, I do think that they bounce back. I don't think this is going to be a crazy exciting game. I think it's going to be a ground and pound defense type game. And I think that the Cowboys are like at this point, if you sign Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, 2 of the biggest contracts at their position in NFL history, and you get outplayed by Derek Carr and Rashid Shaheed, like they also definitely need to address some things. I think that the Cowboys and the Ravens are both going to be playoff teams. I think that they're both going to figure it out and be all right. This game, like Jake said, is as close to a must win as you can get in week 3, just because of the Ravens' rest of their schedule. But I do think that both these teams will be all right and figure it out. However, I'm going to take the Cowboys, or I'm going to take the Ravens -1.5. You never know with the Cowboys. Could be 44 points put on their head at home. So
I think the Ravens are going to be all right. I mean, although they had 2 really disappointing wins, they were in position to beat the Raiders up by 10 in the 4th. Yeah, they blew it in typical. They have to do that once a year. They got it out the way week 2. Okay, it happens. It's whatever. They were in position to win that game. Chiefs was a tough game. They lost by a score, almost tied it if Isaiah were a 12 instead of a 13. I think they're all right. They're not getting blown out. Like they don't look great, but they've been in position to win games. And I'm taking the under. I think the Ravens defense is going to give Dallas a lot of problems. And I think the Dallas pass rush is going to give the Ravens a lot of problems. I don't think too many touchdowns scored. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens. Everyone's pretty much analyzed the Ravens and Cowboys to a T, but Ravens are a way better roster, just like talent for talent, player for player.
I got the Cowboys. I will take a Brandon Cooks anytime touchdown.
Ooh.
Especially if he isn't practicing. I think someone said that, but he had one week 1, and I see another in the future.
Sean, you also had the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, correct?
I did.
You got to rock out with that.
Yeah.
I hate the Ravens. I'm really sick of the Ravens. I can't believe they did what they did last week. That was just very disappointing. We should put in my clip where I was like, the Ravens are gonna have the most regressive season, and everyone was like, whoa, damn, what the fuck is wrong with you? But there's still a lot of games left, so we'll see. But I can't take the Ravens anymore. I'm done with the Ravens. So Cowboys, go Cowboys. I'm taking the boys. I can't do the Ravens anymore. They're terrible. They let me down too many times.
It's time for the best part of the show here. It's time for the locks of the week. We are going to have to edit a lot of shit this week because we are at a lot. That game by itself probably took 45 minutes.
To be fair, we started at like 8:45. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Locks of the week. Sean wanted to go first. Sean, give it to us.
I don't know why this game is as close as it has. The Cardinals had one big game whoopee.
Whoa.
They're still the Cardinals. -3 for the Lions is pretty minimal. A lot of people had the Lions in the Super Bowl, and I still believe that. So give me the Lions -3.
Are you not scared of midget Kyler, Sean? You're not scared of midget Kyler Murray?
Nope.
Sean said same old Cardinals.
Hey, listen, what he should be scared of, Marvin Harrison's the truth.
I'm going to go next because I am picking the same game, just not a side. I disagree with Sean. I just hate the Lions. Everyone knows that. Both of the defenses are kind of shit, especially the Lions. You could say that the Cardinals held the Rams to however many points, but the Rams just looked like dog shit last week. I think you can discount that. This game has like 31-28 going into halftime written all over it. I think this one's going to be the standout where everyone's just slugging, and I don't see a world really where this isn't a really high scoring game. And that's about it. So I know you're all used to my long ass takes, but I think this one's going to go over easily. So for the official record, my lock is Cardinals Lions over 51.5.
I've been very impressed with the Buffalo Bills this year. I must admit it, Cam, I'm sorry to bring up that Thursday night game, but it was domination from start to finish. They also played on a Thursday. They've had extra time off. They have a home game on Monday night against Jacksonville, which is 0-2 and really struggling. The Bills are -4.5. I think there's only a couple, 1 or 2, maybe 3. I got to go check the data. Forgive me for not having it, of starting quarterbacks that don't have a turnover yet. And Josh Allen is one of them. That is incredible.
You know who's another one? Justin Fields.
Really? Okay, there you go. That might be the only.
Is.
I know it was only 2 or 3.
I think it's only Fields and Allen right now. Yeah.
So there you go. So Josh Allen, got to tip my cap to him. He's been playing great. I like the Bills to cover on Monday night -4.5.
I'll jump in here. We all watched it on Sunday Night Football last weekend. The Houston Texans did not play their best football against Chicago Bears. The game could go either way until the last drive, last minute of the game. This week, they are playing the most, other than the Saints, the most surprising team of the year so far in Jake's Minnesota Vikings. It's in Minnesota. Texans are dogs, +2.5. I'm going to take the Houston Texans here. I think they're too good. Got too good of a defense, too many weapons. I think CJ Stroud is the real deal. Dogs against the Minnesota Vikings. I get that the Vikings have played well. I get that they beat the 49ers. They have traditionally played the 49ers well for whatever reason. It's one of those games. I think that the Texans are going to have not even a statement win here because I never really believed in the Vikings to begin with. But I do think that the Texans are going to take care of business. I don't think 2.5 is very respectful to the Houston Texans. And I think that the Texans are going to at least cover 2.5. Probably win by a touchdown. So give me the Houston Texans here. I think that the Vikings are due for a comeback to earth type game. So, but shout out Sam Darnold. If you ever want to come on the show, you're welcome.
The over of 46.5 of the Falcons and the Chiefs. The Chiefs offense speaks for themselves. I don't have to dive into that. You're getting 25 to 20 to 26. You're getting 30 points a week from the Chiefs. That's already a given. They've scored 25 and 26 so far this year. Falcons defense has no pass rush besides recently acquired Matthew Judon. So hopefully if they can just block him, Mahomes is going to have some time. And Kirk every single week. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks, but so far week 1 was bad. Week 2 was better. The second half was his best half. And I think every week he's going to get a little bit more acclimated in the offense, gel with the guys a little bit more. And, Bijan was having whatever he wanted against the Eagles. He hit 50 rushing yards when there was 14:30 left in the first quarter, basically. He's been nothing but amazing. Drake London's been having the best season so far of his career. Kyle Pitts has actually been seen receiving the football, believe it or not. He's actually been seen with the football going towards his direction from a pass, which hasn't been seen since he was in a Florida Gators uniform. And I think that their offense is getting better every week. And the Chiefs offense is solid, but they just let up a lot of points again. Not a lot, but they let the Bengals get to 23. And the Bengals offense has been kind of struggling so far. And their defense is decent, but, they're not as good as they once were. They lost L'Jarius Sneed. Some of their guys are getting older. They've had some injuries. So I think that this game, 46.5, that means the game would have to end 24-23 for it to go over. And I think that's easily going to happen. I'm thinking this game's going to end like maybe 33-23, somewhere in there. So I think this is a crazy low for a Chiefs game. You normally don't see overs this low in a Chiefs game unless they're playing an elite defense or a terrible team. So I think this game is an easy over.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are being overlooked right now. I think Baker Mayfield is on a tear. He's putting the ball on the money, the money on the ball. That was a famous quote of last year. I think Baker he's doing the damn thing. He's doing great. And the Broncos are not probably going to put up more than 10 points. They'd never put up more than 10 points. So Buccaneers spread 6.5.
I'm going to take Bucks Broncos over 39.5.
Wow.
I think the Bucks are going to run it up on the Broncos. They're so trash.
Really?
Yeah, they're so trash.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. Remember to like and subscribe. Remember to tell all of your friends, tell all of your loved ones to watch the Boys Upstairs show. Follow us on all the socials, and we'll see you next week.
Like and subscribe.
Sam Darnold MVP. Like and subscribe.
Also, Ahmed has broken his streak of coming on the show.
Oh, of one week or 2
For what
weeks.
it's worth.
2 weeks.
We may never see Ahmed again. So
Omad's doing the Derek Carr right now. 2 insane weeks and never seen from again.
You gotta clip that.
Let's go and go. Let's go. Hey, like and subscribe.